Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this annual town hall meeting of Avon Township to order at 6:36 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Late arriving members of the public, please do sign in for the town hall meeting. The annual town hall meeting, the clerk is charged with asking the citizens of Avon Township to elect a moderator, who will be responsible for overseeing the rest of the meeting. Therefore, I now make a call for nominations for moderator from the floor. Your name? Second by Adam Solano. Are there any further nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I will close the nominations by motion. May I get a motion to close nominations? I motion to close. Motion by Michael Dobrow. Can I get a second? Second by Jeannie Kirby. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion is carried. Mr. Haley, please come forward so you can be sworn in. Thank you. Mr. Haley, please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm.
I do solemnly swear and affirm.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties.
I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
Of moderator.
At
this town hall meeting.
At this town hall meeting.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my abilities.
Can you sign here? Mr. Moderator, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we shall move forward for the approval of the town hall meetings that we had for April the 9th of 2019 and for the special town hall meeting that we had for January the 13th of 2020. And since these are separate town hall meetings, we're going to do this as a separate vote if anyone has any objections. Could I please get the motion for April the 9th? Motion. By Mr. Dobrow. Second by Mr. Solano. Is there any questions? Hearing none, or any additions to the minutes? Hearing none. The question is, shall the minutes for April the 9th, 2019 annual town meeting be voted on? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is in the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it and the motion is agreed to. Next up is January 13th, 2020 special town hall meeting. Can I please get a motion and a second? Motion. Motion by Mr. Dobrow, second by Mr. Ripa. Is there any questions or comments or any additions to the minutes that you feel that we need to put in place? Hearing now, the question is, shall the special town hall meeting for January 13th of 2020 be approved? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's in the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it. Next up, the clerk shall present supervisor's annual financial statement.
Thank you. Everyone has received a copy of the annual financial statement for fiscal year ending on February 28th, 2020. And a second copy, if you flip that over, for February 28th, 2021. This is an unusual circumstance as both treasurer's reports are being presented, as the town hall meeting from 2020 could not have been held due to the COVID-19 pandemic and executive orders of the governor of the state of Illinois.
I move that we accept the treasurer's report.
Motion by Ms. Kirby. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Dobrow. Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, the question is, shall we be approving the supervisor's annual financial statement? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It is in the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it. Next up, the moderator shall do the introduction of the board. Well, we are doing things a little differently this year because we have an entirely different board. Our newly elected township supervisor is Ms. Michelle Ballman. Can I stand up, please? Assessor Christopher Ditton. And our township trustees, Mr. Michael Dobrow, Ms. Jeannie Kirby, Jeff Lafredo, who I don't see, and Mr. Rudy Ripa. And yes, well, it's not on there, but our newly elected township clerk, Ms. Crystal Lee. And a little different with our highway commissioner. It's no longer the highway commissioner, but he is the highway supervisor, Mr. Bob Kula, who is attending online.
Hi, everyone.
Next up is the moderator's introduction of the presentations. Supervisor Bowman, you have the floor.
Thank you. So what I'm presenting tonight is what the supervisor, from the original the past supervisor had or is work for the first page. We're doing that one, Jackie, if you see anything you want to add, please feel free to add information. So welcome to Avon Township. If you have not liked us yet, please do on Facebook. So Avon Township was established in 1849 on November 6th. Avon Township covers Great Lake, Gainesville, Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Heights, Round Lake Park, and Bird Lake. Right now it is estimated at 2020, 63,202 residents. So that's a lot of residents. What exactly do you do in the township? That's a pretty good question. We are the closest level of government to the people with monthly meetings to keep the residents involved and informed. Just like we're having tonight, a town hall meeting, we have meetings once a month that people can come to, they can hear what's going on at Avon Township. Supervisor's office. We have our general assistant supervisor, Jackie Cunningham, with us tonight. And we have Candy Leatherman, who is our office manager. So what do we do with the township? Some of the programs that we offer is prescription discount cards, candy plaque card, book exchange, voter registration, notary services, medical equipment, resource assistance. A lot of resource assistance. So if you need some form of resource, whether you need any extra funding, you need resources for senior programs, disability. We have a lot of programs that you can come to the township, and if we do not have those programs, one thing that Jeff is really good at is finding resources in the community that can help you out. So if you're not sure where to go, come to the township and we can give you guidance and direction. Dry Lake County West. So if you need support getting around Avon Township or the general area of Antioch, Villa, Grant, Wakanda, Fremont, we have sources that can help you get there. In our office right now, we have a lot of information, resources of how to ride Lake County West. And PACE has a lot of new programs coming out. So as soon as we know what's going to be happening with the new programs of PACE, we're going to be letting the community know. In 2019, we served over 2,500 579 people that walked into our township. That's a lot of people. And we get over 5,000 phone calls. 5,000 phone calls in Avon Township. People that wanting to know what's going on, answering questions, whether it's the assessor's office or just general phone calls. That's a lot of phone calls. What is general assistance? General assistance is for those who are seeking disability insurance but have yet to receive it, and if they are in need of support while waiting. As of this year, Jenny says go true, we had no GA clients, right now. But that is a resource that the government provides. So if you want to know if you qualify, come into our office, we give you an application, and hopefully we're able to help you. Emergency assistance. This is something that we are definitely using. A lot of people need help with. EA helps those who need emergency needs, such as utility, in case you're going to get your utilities shut off, eviction notices, related work emergency, unexpected funeral costs, medical emergencies, and other emergencies that may come up. So if there's something that you're not sure whether or not you'll qualify, come on in. Again, we have applications, we have people that you can talk to. And if we can't do it, hopefully there's another organization that will be able to help you with your needs. So I'm sure I'm not sure where those numbers came from. Do you know what it is? Something in the hundreds. Okay, just finding out. Candy put this together, so. Yeah, this is what Candy was presenting. Sorry. Oh, that's okay. General assistance and emergency assistance. All residents seeking assistance must qualify, must live in Avon Township, they must meet the financial guidelines, and have documents of the emergency. We partnered with a lot of agencies. The agencies that you see up here are just a few. Since I've been in office, I know how much more agencies that we work with. Besides the Salvation Army, the Catholic Charities, Mother's Trust, local churches, take instant calls, and Faith Places, kind of the YMCA, again, many other organizations. So if you need assistance, you give us a phone call and we'll help get you to where you need to go. Some of the programs that we do offer at the township are diaper programs, budgeting classes, donate backpacks with supplies to area schools, we do grants, we rent office space to Lake County Health Department, we provide space for non-for-profit organizations, funeral expenses, senior farmers market coupons, united organizations with families for the holidays, we have a potential program, and we do on-site job fairs. So can you tell me this is numbers right? For our different program? Yes. Okay, we are assisting 65 families and 95 individuals. Now people know how expensive diapers are. This is a huge program for Avon Township. They get about 30 diapers a month, Jenny. And that is how many kids. Our numbers have kind of gone up because we have mothers that have babies. But diapers, guys, I mean, if you had kids before, you understand. I mean, these babies, these toddlers, even adults, guys, you know, they not need wet diapers. We just need to make sure that our diaper program is going strong because people, it's so simple, they can make a family and a child's life so much better. We pay out to So in our central program right now, we are assisting approximately 175 families. These are income qualified residents need to receive up to 5 items once a month to help with financial sustaining their household. Is that still accurate? And on the third Saturday in September is Township Day. It's a statewide program, and in Avon Township, we do a event called Touch a Truck. It's not just about trucks. We have different organizations that set up groups that can help you, give you information about the community. We have food, we have entertainment. It's just a great event for the community to come out to. And this year we're planning on doing a Touch a Truck, making it bigger and better. We gotta celebrate getting outside. And we help the community. We belong to a lot of organizations, like Northern Illinois Food Bank. We come out and we support their events, the YMCA, Mile, libraries, Way, Lake County Health Department. Again, it's, as I explained to people kind of how Avon Township works, or Township Center, we're not the highway department, but a highway. There's so many different directions that we can go to, and people come to us, and we have an amazing opportunity to help people, and these are just some of the organizations that we work with. That's it. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, or feel free to contact Jackie in our office, and yes, we do have a money closet, so if you need wheelchairs, crutches, leg, prosthetics, and all different, medical equipment, let us know, because instead of paying astronomical fees to the hospital or your doctor's office, we can loan them out to you about 3 months, Jackie. 90 days, and let people know about our programs too, because what happens is a lot of times, it may not be you that needs those programs, but it could be your neighbors, it could be a community member, it could be someone that you're working with. And they need a simple thing, a wheelchair, you know, we can provide for them if they're an Avon Township resident. Again, the general assistance or any of our programs, don't keep Avon Township a secret. We need to let people know that Avon Township is here to help the community. And I talk a lot, so I'm done.
Thank you, Supervisor Bowman.
Point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
We did not have minutes for the prior town hall discussion.
We did. Yes, we did.
Okay. I was thinking about something. All right.
April 9th town hall minutes, motion by Gilbrow, second by Solano, no discussion, motion agreed to. February 13th, motion by Gilbrow, second by Rutland, no discussion, motion agreed to.
All right.
Yeah, we had those as separate votes because of the fact that those were separate meetings.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
It's all right. Next up on our presentations is Assessor Chris Ditton.
And I'm pulling it up right now. All right. Oh, that's fine. Second, assessor.
All right. My name is Chris Ditton. I'm the Avon Township elected assessor. On my staff is Cindy Brust, CIO, Jamie Sharkey, also has the designation CIO, Edwin Vargas, and Jessica Bach. Avon Township consists of 7 villages: Great Lake, Haynesville, Third Lake, Round Lake, Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Heights, Round Lake Park. Avon Township has approximately 25,156 parcels in 2019, and we had 25,098 in 2020. The difference is due to mergers, so some people would have combined their lots, and so we have fewer parcels. Each parcel must be individually valued once every 4 years, which is called the quadrennial reassessment or general reassessment. Here, the last one was 2019. Okay, so the assessor appraises or estimates fair cash value, so the amount for which the property could be sold in the due course of business or trade, not under duress, between a willing buyer and a willing seller. All of the real estate as of January 1st of each year, so the value of January 1st of each year. The property is then assessed at 33.33% of the fair cash value. As determined by the Illinois Department of Revenue sales ratio studies for the 3 most recent years preceding the assessment. So what happens is, say 2019 was a general reassessment year, so you had 18, 17, and 16. And what you end up with is all of the qualified sales are then put into a sales ratio study to figure out where those sales rated or ranked in terms of being 33 and a third. And then that determines, that's for each assessment neighborhood. And then that determines whether an assessment neighborhood would be adjusted upward or downward in the general reassessment year. The assessor does not determine the property taxes. Rather, the assessment is used to determine each tax rate overall share or tax burden, which is created by the units of local government and their levies. Assessors can only assess real property, commonly known as real estate, and all improvements attached thereto. The assessment of personal property ended in 1979. Real property is defined as land and any permanent improvement to the site. The assessor relied on exterior measurements of the structure when calculating the overall size of the improvement. So sometimes you have people that have a property listed, they either will go in and measure inside, and then they'll say, oh, it looks like it's wrong. So, but again, we measure from the outside. In order to accurately collect the data used to determine your assessment, it is necessary for the assessor and or his staff to come out of the property. There may be rare reasons when it's important the assessor to gain entry into your property to clarify certain details. For example, if you said, I don't have a finished basement, or you had a finished basement and then you said I converted it, I removed some of the permanent drywall or something, then we need to go in. Residential property is generally assessed using the market approach to value, which analyzes similar properties that have sold recently with both buyer and seller acted without undue pressure in negotiating the final price. Adjustments are made to the selling price of comparable from any difference in the property price. So if somebody had a property that was similar to yours but had 3 bathrooms and you had 2, then obviously adjustment will be made to your property, lowering that from that sale price. Commercial industrial properties are generally valued using the income approach. So here are the values estimated by analyzing the net income property generates for its owner and converting that income to a valuation indication. The assessors perform many other administrative functions. For example, we accept applications for homestead exemptions. We assist with filling out forms for senior homestead, senior citizen, freeze, disabled person, and veterans with disability. To receive, all right, so now some exemptions. So talk about a few of the rest of them on our website. So you can go there and look. But general homestead, you have to live there on the January 1st of the tax year, and that lowers your equalized assessed value by $6,000. Senior homestead is somebody who's 65 during the tax year, owning and living in the property as your primary residence. First time applicants can apply at the assessor's office or online with Smart File. So the county now has a system online where you can apply for actually all of the exemptions don't come in. If you don't want to, you can fill them all out online as long as you have a scanner. So you can scan in your ID, and when you get to the senior free, you just scan your income as well. And that's $5,000 off the excess value. And on senior freeze, again, you have to qualify for the senior homestead, and that would include, by the way, living in your primary residence for the past 2 January 1st. So during the 1 year, you can't get the freeze, you have to be there 2 January 1st. And again, you can file that here or online, and you have to have a household income of $65,000 or less. And then what the freeze does is the freeze freezes the assessed value in the year before you apply, if in fact that year is lower than the year which you're applying. So that's what it does. It freezes the assessment. The exemption, I'm sorry, must be renewed annually. So the senior freeze is renewed annually. The other two exemptions that I mentioned are not renewed annually. They automatically carry over. So this is homestead exemption, person with disabilities. So if you qualify there, you have lower your assessed value by 2,000. That again, property, principal residence, and then proof of disability with either SSI benefits, including a award letter or a class 2 or 2A disability identification on your driver's license or ID and physician statement form. Okay, so we say under the Federal Social Security Act, it's applied either, so we'll keep going with that. So under the Federal Social Security Act, then you can apply that way. So again, this is all on the website. So you got homestead for veterans with disability. So with veteran disability, by the way, so the service related, if it's 30 to 49%, then your exemption is 2,500. If it's 50 to 69, it's 5,000. And if it's more than 70%, 70 or more, then the residential is exempt from taxation. And then that exemption is limited to residential property within equalized assessed value of 250,000 or less, or market value then would be 750. Disability, adaptive housing, so disability veterans exemption, again for adaptive housing program, up to 100,000 of the equalized assessed value of a home owned by a qualifying veteran or veteran spouse or unmarried surviving spouse is exempt from property taxes after serving the armed forces, have a disability of such a nature that the federal government authorizes payment for the purpose of construction of housing which has special adaptations the need of the disability. Returning veteran, so this one lowers the equalized assessed value by 5,000 in the year of return from active duty in armed conflict and the following year thereafter. Okay, and so this is exemption numbers. So the general homestead, you can see what we had there, 15,653 and 15,503. And the senior, 3,024 and 3,013. The senior freeze, a little over 1,200. Home improvement, disability, so I think you have an idea of the exemptions that we have here. All right, in addition to assessing property owners, to assisting with exemptions, we require to enter sales data for the current year to the assessing program. So again, this is how you create the sales ratio, how you figure out the assessments in the general assessment year, and then each year thereafter. Each year, the assessor analyzes the sales ratio within their town to determine which areas or neighborhoods need to be changed. So there's no limit as to how much an assessment can rise or fall. Because the ultimate goal is to have equitable assessments of 33 1/3. So, so this year, for example, we've gone through all of our sales ratios and we've identified maybe 15, 20 neighborhoods that need to be adjusted. So they're either over, so that what the state does is it gives me a standard that we have to do. So anything from 31.5% to 35.5% is considered normal within the range that the state accepts. If you have a neighborhood that is assessed lower than 31.5%, then you have to raise them up to 33. If you have a neighborhood that's over 35.5%, then you have to lower them down to 33. That's already based on the sales ratio for the preceding 3 years. So let's see, in 19, we had 1,343 sales, and in 2020, 1,149 sales. Mouthful centers, information assessing program and all parcel, we call segregations and mergers, once the counties are spent. So again, if you have a piece of of property, you break it apart, for whatever reason, if you have a one big lot, you wanna break it up into two, or again, like we talked about, if you have a house and a vacant piece of property next to it, and you merge those together. We also receive permits from all of the villages, and that information is entered into the assessing program. So with permits, obviously, there are only certain permits that, what would say, add value to the assessment. So remodeling, something like that. But the majority of the permits are siding, roof, windows, driveway. But those are all entered into the system because if somebody appeals their assessment, then we can present to the board the permit history. We can say, well, they have a new roof or they have new siding, which makes their house more attractive, maybe more valuable than, say, these sales that the appellant is presenting that haven't been upgraded with siding or something like that. So they all get that. So 1,078 19 and 1142 in 2020. All right, so that's my presentation. So Ken, if you have any questions, I'm also available, obviously, at email, cj@avonassessor.org. Or email me if you have any questions. All right.
Thank you, Assessor Dib. You know, I made my first mistake here as the moderator, and I'm going to apologize in advance, Bob, because you were supposed to be the next speaker there. I guess that's one of those terrible things when you quit drinking coffee, you don't pay attention to the full agenda. But Supervisor Kula, you have the floor now with your presentation if you wish to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Haley. Crystal, can you put mine up on the screen?
It'll be up there in just a moment.
Thank you. Let's see. I can't see that. Hold on one sec. All right, thank you. That's better. So during the 2019, 2020 winter season, we responded to 22 after hours winter related events, about the same during regular time. Most of those blend over into regular hours, our 6:30 to 3 o'clock hours. So a lot of, then we'll have additional ones, that where we're out just during the day, but a lot of the times those are at night. And then for 2020, 2021, 25. So, about the same. It really, that number varies very little year to year. Sometimes when we have the real bad winters, but usually that's a pretty safe number to look at. And here's our salt usage. For 19 and 20, we used 568 tons. And 2021, we used 737. And we usually order about 900 a year. We have storage capacity for about 650 tons we can store on the west side of on the west building, and then on the east building we have, if we need to, we have it set up there so we could store more salt there if we needed to, and that'll store about 150 to 175 tons if we needed to. And our government agreements for the last couple of years are the normal ones, with the exception of the Lake County Forest Preserve. The school bus turnaround is going to expire this October. We're in the middle of working out a new contract with Lake County Forest Preserve currently, actually. And then we have our road maintenance agreement with Third Lake, and our bulk salt storage for Haynesville. Haynesville doesn't have the real estate to store salt. They have real estate, but not for salt. And then we have the snow plowing agreements that we normally have with Third Lake and Graves, like we do some snow plowing for them as well. And so here's our road improvements for 2019. So I'll show you both of them as we work through the pictures. But we had in 19, we had Harrison, Hill Court, Tyler Avenue, are all one neighborhood. It's called Gilbert subdivision. And then we have Linden and Lakeview are off in unincorporated Third Lake. Project started in June and was completed at the end of July. Project cost was $334. Go ahead. So here we have this is Harrison Road, I believe, looking north. It's just a completed portion of the road. And then also from further back looking north, also Harrison Road. And then here is the intersection of Tyler and Harrison. Just get you guys familiar with some of the roads. Tyler is that street you'll see off to the left there by the stop sign. And then here's the intersection of Harrison up ahead there where you can barely see that stop sign. That's Route 134. That's where Harrison meets that road. And then this is Hill Court. If you look down there down at the bottom, just through those sun rays there where the salt is kind of there, we actually had an area there that's been where we had water pumping through the road, I think as far back as I can remember. So this year we did something a little different. We put a curtain drain in the road. We had a contractor dig down and we ran a curtain drain to the end of the storm system on the left at the dead end of that cul-de-sac, and with a blanket and some stone, and it's worked out very well. We haven't had any water there since. So that's Hill Court. That's also off of Harrison over there, off of Tyler, excuse me. And then here is that same Hill Court. The cul-de-sac would be behind you. This is looking up of the completed road after it was resurfaced. And here's Tyler looking, looks like it's looking west, going towards up ahead there, that curves to the right. That would be Fairfield Road. And then finally, I think this is this is where Tyler meets Fairfield Road there at the stop sign. And then this is just a reverse picture. This is Tyler. Now behind you is Fairfield Road, looking up the hill, looking up Tyler. I'm just giving you guys some different visuals of the road after it was completed. Okay. And now we've moved over into Third Lake. This is unincorporated Third Lake. This is Linden Avenue. So at the bottom of your screen there, you'll see where we stopped, or those white little picket fences there. That was the limit. We still have road from that line there heading south, but for this project at this time, we headed north. Go ahead. And this is Linden makes a lot of turns, a lot of S turns and stuff like that. So you'll see a lot of different perspectives here. But that's Linden again heading north. It's after it's made a turn. And here's another turn. This is getting into the back of the neighborhood now. It's all Linden here until I tell you otherwise. But that's Linden coming up to another hairpin turn to the right. It's a really interesting neighborhood to plow because it has a lot of S turns and a lot of just hard hairpin turns. Go ahead. And here is also coming up to one of the last turns up to the lake. There's Third Lake up ahead. And then there'll be one more turn to the left. And here is Lakeview. Lakeview is just a tiny little, I don't know, I guess it's about 100 feet, maybe 125 feet long road that where that brown house is there. Just a little dead end road off of Linden. And here just backed up to give you a different perspective of the road of Lakeview Court. All right, tree removal 2019, 2020, 9 ash trees and 1 pine. And 2020, 21, we have several different types of trees. 5 oak trees on Oak Lane. That was over in one of the new roads we did. We had some diseased oaks, but we also had a few that were right in the middle of the road was very narrow through there. We did, however, have a lot of right of way. So we wanted to get the road up to spec. So to widen the road and get it where, it was 2 10-foot lanes that were acceptable. We had to remove a few trees. And then we had a silver vapor on Hillside, a large cottonwood on Oak, and go ahead. There's the There's this guy hanging upside down. He's crazy, but this is a bucket truck. This is the oak that was right in the middle of one of the rows. But actually, this tree at the base, somebody had burned leaves and burned a hole through the bottom of that big tree. So we had to take it down anyway. It was a safety issue as well. Go ahead. And here's where we use, this is where we use Hernandez Tree Company because they're one of the few tree companies in our township. Well, I think maybe the only one that has the crane ability. We have those primary wires that are just below that limb he's carrying over the top. We actually had to have ComEd turn the power off to that neighborhood, a few blocks worth of that neighborhood for I think about 2 hours. One of the reasons why we use for a tree like this, where we'll use that crane so we can get people that get their power back on. Plus, with the close proximity of primary wires, you really want to do it. This is the safest way to do it, not have making damage to those wires. Go ahead. And here's just some more pictures of that same tree. Okay, mosquito control. We have to, I think I've explained this many times before, but we have to be certified to apply solid larvicides in our storm basins. It was extended due to COVID by the Lake County Health Department, but we did recently, everybody did get recertified. So we are able to place the solid larvicides in all our storm basins this year yet. But we still haven't done it yet because I talked to, I use Clark a lot. They do our the spraying, for adult spraying, but I use them a lot. I'm able to call them and find the best time. And we know we haven't, of course, we haven't had any rain, so we're holding off on those putting those larvicide tablets in the basins until the right time. Go ahead. And then 2020 roadway improvements. Oak Street, where you saw the guys that are removing that large oak tree. Their contract price was $325, and the actual was $309,911. And then Clinton and Hillside was more, there was a little bit of storm work there, but that was more of a mill and surface. But we did do some directional boring over there and had a little bit of storm work, but that was mainly mill and pave. So that original contract was $270 and the actual was $222. We'll save money sometimes, just the quantities don't, we don't need the quantities in rehab or a lot of other things. Things change, the pavement, and maybe there's money put in there for for unseen needs like repairs underneath. So if we run into soft ground and they have to do some digging to firm up the road base before they pave, that's where either that 270 will be eaten up, or we'll save money because the road base was actually in pretty good shape. Go ahead. And here's Clinton looking west. And yeah, that's also Clinton. I'm sorry if I'm backed up further. And here is the intersection of Clinton and Wilson. That's Wilson Road. At the stop sign, Wilson is running to your left and to your right if you're looking at the picture. And then here is the Oak project. That one was a complete rehab. That one was curb gutter and new sub base, the whole thing. That's the road I talked to you about, that needed road widening. So, and it has there's quite a bit of water that comes down that road. So we opted to do, under the engineer's recommendations, we decided to do curb and gutter. It was going to be the best way to handle that water and keep it off the right of way and off the residential properties. And there's the Long Lake there up ahead. Go ahead, that's okay. And this is Brorson. Brorson was just a tag along with Oak, just the outfall. That is a level spreader, it's called. So you'll see the large white. It's called a couple different names, but that white limestone there can be called surge, or it can be called riprap, or whatever you want to call it. There's a drain in the middle there that bubbles up. It goes out laterally to the left and to the right. That water will come up and just kind of bubble up over the top. It's designed to break up the volume of the speed of the water, the energy. It breaks up the energy and lets it go down the lake and without doing as much damage to the beach. And here is on Oak now. This is Oak completed. Now, after that's done, next year you'll see some pictures of all the vegetation that was planted in the. There's a group of Long Lake people that are heavily involved in cleaning the water that runs into the lake. So they did a lot of planting. They did a great job. In the center there, where all those rocks are, there's a lot of native plants that are designed to absorb a lot of water and filter out water. Okay. 2021, my plan this year is for Kenneth Drive. That's off of Drury Lane. That's just strictly a mill and surface road that already has a well-designed storm system. It just needs, it hasn't been paved, I don't know, 25 years, probably longer than that, actually. Here's just some examples of the condition of the road right now. Go ahead. You can see all the what it's called alligator and the checking on the road. Go ahead. And motor fuel tax, which you guys don't see in the budget, but that's held by the Lake County Highway Department. MFT balance for Highway Department in 2020 was 15,374 at March 31st. And then in March 31st, 2021, it was down to 3,339. We use that MFT. A lot of the times there's different things we can use it for, but we like to use it for salt. It just works out well that way. For allotment from IDOT is 2830. We usually get that monthly, and that just gets deposited right into that MFT fund. And then let's say I buy salt, I send the bill over to Scott over at Lake County, and he processes the bill, and it gets paid that way. And here's our fund balances for fiscal year 2020, ending fiscal 2/29/2020, and then there is the fiscal for 2021. And here's our tracking for 2019 through 2020, 547 phone calls, 344 residents I visited, and 583 emails. And then 2020, 2021, 803 phone calls, 323 visits to homeowners, and 756 emails. And then the MS4 program, which we talked about at the last meeting. Go ahead. So Jeff, we're just since we I think we've talked about this, but just to recap, since we discharge water, we're in MS4. We discharge water into a body of water where we have to follow guidelines, basically making sure that water is as clean as possible. And we're doing our due diligence to remove any silt or sediment before it gets into the lake. And here's the, you can keep moving on. The minimum control measures that we need to do, like I say, reducing erosion. Our in-house is a big one, how we store our salt, how our trucks are washed, with what they're washed, just different ways we control pollution that can find its way into a body of water in the township, or anywhere for that matter. Go ahead. And we'll have a new one. Actually, we're going to have a new updated, our new report is going to be available at the end of June. I'll have that for everybody at that time. And here's the 6 minimum control measures that we're required to do. Public education, public involvement, illicit discharge detection, which we have done in the past. I mean, we always do illicit discharge detection. A couple of years ago was the first time we came upon it and dealt with it accordingly. Construction site stormwater runoff control. So when we do these jobs like Oak didn't fall into the acreage category, but when we surpass a certain acreage, we do have to keep a SWIP. So we have to do a report every week on that construction piece of land there to make sure that we're following all the guidelines. And then after a rainfall, we have to do the same thing. I do that. I have the certification to do that, so I do that in house. That saves us the money. And then pollution prevention, good housekeeping, I talked about earlier. about our municipal operations, how we do what we do in the house to reduce pollution to the water. Go ahead. And we submitted a notice of intent on February 26, 2021 to continue to be an MS4. And that's why I say we'll have that, our revised report will be available, like I said, at the end of June. And there's all the, what I just spoke about. So submit the annual report, which we have. We're just waiting for it back. We perform dry weather outfall inspections. GHA does some of this for us, the engineering firm that puts together the report, but we do a lot of the outfall inspections ourselves. So they do a lot of water quality testing for us, stream bank and basin inspections. We do that. But there's other waterways that are done by GHA that are better done by a different staff. Go ahead. And you can go ahead. You get that. Go ahead.
That's the end of the slides, Bob.
Okay, well, there you go. Anybody have any questions?
Is there any questions? Mr. Rabat?
Hi, Bob. So you mentioned at one point mosquito abatement or something to do with Long Lake, correct?
Yes.
So I believe Long Lake is split by Avon Township and Grant Township. Do you work with Grant Township at all to like do that process, or is that just something that we don't communicate with them on?
Are you talking about the water quality there? You talking about the plants and that type of thing?
You mentioned you were out on Long Lake, and I just know that that lake kind of splits two townships.
Yeah, it does. It's split between, Grant is on the other side of the lake and a little bit on the east side. We're on the east as well, but as you come around further east, southeast, and it turns over into Grant, and then Grant's on the other side off of Lakeshore Drive. Yeah, Lakeshore Drive is split half and half, with half of it is Avon Township and half of it is Grant. So a lot of our storm systems kind of commingle, but we do work with Kim. Kim works with us, and she's a highway commissioner over there. And that group actually that's doing the planting in those they call them rain gardens, and the outfalls, they're also working with Grant at the same time. So, because their goal, that group, their goal is to have as many rain gardens for these outfalls to put water into Long Lake as possible, so we can keep that water, filter as much as possible.
Fantastic, thank you.
You bet.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Supervisor Kula, for your presentation on that.
Thank you, Mr. Haley.
Next up is Clerk Larson's report. Excuse me.
Forgive me for not standing. I'm going to run the machine while I'm trying to do this as well. I'd like to quickly present the 2019 through 2021 Clerk's Annual Report for Avon Township. A little background on the clerk. The clerk's responsible for ensuring that OMA is followed, that all of the meetings are legally posted for public meetings. We report those schedules to the county, write and record all of the minutes for all of the various meetings of the public body, file all the ordinances, resolutions, and other required filings with appropriate agencies, maintain the records of all the township business according to statute, and maintain archives and records of appropriate disposal of those records. We're required to call a meeting at the request of the supervisor or any two individual board members. And as of September 2020, clerk has started writing the agendas, posting the meetings online, as you see tonight, posting all the agendas and minutes on the website. File and list all of the elected and appointed candidates of the county and the State Board of Elections, accept filings and nomination papers for township candidates, referendums for the county clerk and or the Board of Elections. They also distribute polling material to local polls according to statute and reporting to the county clerk, record and answer all information requests according to FOIA, act as a notary, and the seal holder of the township. During the 2019 to 2020 fiscal year, Clerk Kirby processed 38 FOIAs, which was an increase of 53% over the prior year. And during this past fiscal year, Clerk Kirby had processed 67 FOIAs, an increase of 76%, This year, we've already received 4 and expect to continue to do the people's business by presenting this way in a timely fashion. Thank you. If there's any questions.
Can I get some statements, please? Quick questions.
Yes, of course.
This is, these are the years that I was the clerk. I wish that I could have some pretty pictures like Bob does, but unfortunately with pictures from the clerk's office, it's just stacks and stacks and stacks of paper. Boring as it can possibly get. So I probably could have given you some pictures of my office via my dining room table when the pandemic hit and I ran the work of the clerk out of my home for most of it. And lost the ability to use my dining room table. Some of you have seen it, so it was pretty drastic. It is the standard information that the clerk's office gives. I did want to note that from 2017 to the end of the last 4 years of my term, I was a clerk before that, in the previous term, I had over 164% increase in FOIAs. And a FOIA can be everything from giving me the minutes of the meeting to I would like the documentation of all the bills that have been paid from the last 4 years or the last 8 years. So a FOIA can take as little as a minute and a half or as long as much more than 10 days. 5 days is the restrictions under FOIA, but it can certainly last much more than 10 days to address a FOIA. So though there have been challenges, I did note in my report that in September, the board did allocate all meeting, the discussion, and postings of the meetings, the Zoom, controlling the Zoom meetings, and hosting the Zoom meetings to the clerks. And so from September, the clerk did all of those responsibilities, which traditionally had been held by someone else. So the clerk's job is not glorious or not picture worthy. It certainly is something that is very important to the business of the township and to the information to the citizens. Under FOIA, any citizen can ask for anything that we keep records on, and we answer those with loftiness in our heart and a wish to give them information. Thank you.
You know, I could steal a quote from a former village trustee in Grays Lake who would say often when the boring stuff came in, as you pointed out, it ain't sexy, but it's got to get done. But thank you very much for the presentations there. Next up on the agenda is a motion to set next year's annual town meeting for 6:30 p.m. on April the 12th of 2022. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Dobrow, second by Mr. Solano. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The opinion of the chair that the ayes have it, motion is agreed to. Next up is other business as necessary. Do we have any other business coming before this town hall meeting? Hearing none, we are now open to public comments. Does anyone wish to make any public comments? Wow, we're really going forward. Once, twice, sold. Next is last but certainly not least, number 13 on the agenda is an adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Dobrow. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Baldwin. All right, all in favor to adjourn signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Like I need to ask, all the motion is agreed to. We are officially adjourned. Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
You all give me a moment to stop the recording and we'll reset.